I'm going to use 26 gauge wire here. I've got probably 6 inches, 5 inches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. And the reason I do 6 inches is because, we want a nice long cap. So you need wire. So for your briolette, either flat or rounded like this, my 26 gauge goes through. I'm going to come to the very center of the wire. So I'm at the center of my wire. I like to prop my fingers right here underneath, push it up, the wires, and bring them to a triangle right above the tip of your bead. And bring them together. This is 26 gauge wire. This could also be 28 gauge wire. So I never leave them like this. For me, this looks unfinished, and they tip here. These briolets are not necessarily cheap either. So, work carefully so that you don't manhandle that and you break it off before you even get started. I have these wires side by side, okay? I'm looking at the holes, one to the left, one to the right. The edge of the hole is not facing me. The front of the bead is facing me, and the holes are on the sides. I'm going to bring my round nose in. It's the same wrap, about 3 millimeter above the tip of the bead. Hold on to that right here. Give it a little pad and make a 90-degree turn in both those wires. Push both wires up and over the plier head and straight back down the back of the bead. Release and turn the plier and re-grip on top. This is exactly the same as the little bead wraps we're doing, except you're handling 2 wires here. Bring both those wires together, keep them side by side so that they're on the side. You make a complete loop around your plier. Keep them side by side as you're wrapping. So there goes one, and you're wrapping down toward the bead. Don't let them overlap, just side by side, 2 at a time. I'll show you how this gets thicker because we go down and we go back up. So there's about 3 of them to make my little neck. That, to me, I don't like that look either. I never leave it there. Come down over the 2 wires that go through the bead. So I'm continuing to wrap right over those, keeping my 2 wires side by side. Keep your bead nice and flat. Keep wrapping past the holes, keeping your wires side by side as you wrap, and then past the holes one more time. Okay, so we're totally behind the holes. We're 2 wraps past the holes. We sacrifice the tip of the bead a little bit, but that's okay because it's more secure. Okay, so from here, you can't just cut these off right here because they unravel. So you have to bring these 2 wires back up to the top and wrap around the top here. So come diagonal and back to the top once you get past your 2 holes right there. I should have given us a little tiny bit more wire. It'd be more comfortable. So more than 6 inches. Give yourself like 8. And then wrap a couple of times, back up that skinny part until you get back to the top. I'm out of wire here, but I think you get what I mean. I'll do another one. You're working very neat and clean, and you're bringing these 2 wraps back to the top of up here where your loop is. I'm going to do another one because I didn't give myself enough wire to really show you properly. And you're going to finish the wrap up here at the top. That's where you secure it. You don't secure it at the base of the bead. So you have a nice, attractive diagonal, and you have a second row that you've wrapped so it thickens up that top neck. And then from here, very super light taps to just, if you need to get it a little bit here or a little bit there. Jan says she has to be careful putting hangers on the faceted crystal spheres. They are drilled like Briolette and can snap the top off the bale. Yeah. So, don't frustrate yourself. Just know that these little Briolette wraps can be delicate, but you just, want to put a little wrap on it like that. Let me do another one. I'm going to get 8 inches of wire this time so that I have plenty. I'm using 26 gauge to do this Briolette wrap. So I got 8 inches here. Where's my other one? I have another one right here. Come through your Briolette and get to about the center of the wire. The reason I get my fingers up here underneath here is so that the push up is clean and you're right at the edge of the bead. Put it into a little triangle here at the top. Face the triangle. Grip about 2 or 3 millimeter right above the tip. 90-degree bend towards you, so the two ends are looking at you. Then push them up, back, and over the plier and back down. Release the plier and rotate, regripping on top. Pull the wires to the side and all the way around. So now I have a complete 360 around the plier head. And I'll take these two now, and just with my fingers, keeping them side by side, you'll make wraps, one right below the other. These will take a little practice, so you might want to use some Briolette that you feel hardy about or that you won't cry over if the tip snaps. This is a light but, precise wrap. You're making 2 by 2. You're going past the holes and onto the face of the bead. And I like to go one more time past the holes to make sure that I'm past, that they don't pop out the side. With your loop, on top here, facing you. So this is kind of the, face of the bead is where the face of the loop is kind of. It doesn't really matter because you can always spin this loop. So from right here now, I'm going to just take a curve in the wire, straight up the back or front. Okay. Come past the neck. And you just need like more than one, but no more than a couple. So there's 1 and there's 2 straight back up to the loop to thicken that up a little bit. Then you can cut it off right here. And it's a light and delicate tapping, but you got to tap those 2 little cuts down. Just right there at the head of your bead, right below the loops right there. And then if you need to, you can, tap a little bit here on the sides. Just make it look as neat as you can. Okay. So that's how you wrap the round ones. So now let me show you how to wrap a flat Briolette. And since all of my apatite ones are broken, I will use my little amethyst ones because I think those are pretty good. So, because that's a flat shape. These are rounded. So the other briolette is a flat one. And then I'm going to wrap some pearls. So when you get these, we talked about them being matched pairs and how you check for that. I'm going to use 26 gauge. And again, I'm going to use about 6 inches. You're going to come through the side. You know, this is how you check. It's hanging nice. It's nice. The hole is nice inside the briolette. So if you want to wrap the briolette tip and give it a cap, you do it the same way. Bring your wires up. I don't ever, this look here, I don't like it. So some people do like this. I don't like that. You can do however you like. I bring the tips together, make a little triangle. Just get it as evenly as you can. About there. Same thing, you can get into your round nose. The wires are side by side. Get 2 or 3 millimeter above your bead, but not too far because you don't want a real long neck on this. You just want the neck to be 2 or 3 wraps is all you need. Come back around. It's the exact same way we wrap the round one. Come right below that wrap. The briolette that's flat, sometimes it does this. The round one sometimes too. So as you approach the bead, you want to make sure the tip is actually laying in the cap. You want to make sure the bead isn't, you know, the tip isn't protruding forward like that. So right there, when you get close to the, that's why I keep the finger down here. So you kind of get a pad below it. And I don't actually like to cap these little ones either because it never looks right for me. So I'm approaching the holes and you see I'm kind of squeezing the tip back into that cap. I'm going past the holes. There's not a whole lot of bead here, so I'll probably just go right past the holes that one time. And now from the back, I'll swing my wires up. And come around the very top once or twice, depending on how much space you got. Get my little plier on this. So it takes a little bit of practice, but you can do it. And then very carefully lay down those little cut ends. And it is a whisper of a tap that I'm making. So then you have a little cap that looks like that. And that will, you know, it helps to protect the tip. It gives a little more substantial look to the bead. It doesn't look like it's just dangling precariously in the air there. But if you have 2 really stable drill holes, you can do them like this, where you don't wrap the tip at all. You just come straight across. And I feel confident about these 2, but only these 2. That's why there aren't more. Briolets and we have a hard time together unless I order them as matched pairs. That's why I've just started ordering them as matched pairs because they frustrate me when they're not. Artists have that weird thing. See, these are beautiful. Look at how matched those are. So these are wrapped in the exact same way. Now, do you see how they hang on the frame? The hole, the loop that I left for me has to be edge facing me so that it can go into a wire that I've attached to the frame. So when you do these, the round ones and such don't care so much because they're round. The flat ones and such, you want to make sure that the edge is facing you and that, where you pulled these wires up is behind the bead. If that's a little bit off like this, not quite there, I'll find the best side of the bead. Hold on to everything very tightly. Take a small plier on the loop and turn it so that it faces the direction you need to. Careful doing that, and only once, because sometimes that unravels your whole thing up here. But when you're building these, this one is flat, so it has to hang flat side forward. It can't hang on its edge. It's not round like the other one. So here, the reason I wrapped it and show you to wrap it the way I do is because the loop ends up edge facing you. Okay, so that way you don't have to concern yourself with spinning it.